Hello, hello, and welcome back to TGTV, and more specifically, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Porsche Centre High Wycombe. I've got my, I don't know if you can see that, can you see that there, ladies and gents? I've got my Carrera GT cap on because today we are going to see my Carrera GT. It's in the service centre at Porsche. I'm going to tuck my label in there. It is in the service centre here at Porsche Centre High Wycombe. So, you may remember the last service and recall bits and bobs, they were done at Reading. Reading, historically, I've looked after that Carrera GT since I've had it, but I thought I would try Porsche Centre High Wycombe. I think it's slightly closer to where I live, and I thought I would try the guys here. You remember the video where I was loading the Carrera GT up and I said I would try them? I think the labour rates are slightly less expensive here, which, you know, every little helps in this environment. We've got some of the techs that were at Reading, some of the guys that are trained and blah, 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 and did all the stuff at Reading are here. So, and they're slightly less busy with Carrera GTs. They've only just sort of opened their doors to the GTs and 918s as well. So I know Tomi Music, Hunter Auto Society, however you want to know him, with the 918, good friend of mine. He has actually taken his 918 here as well. So it's been in safe hands, and the car has been getting looked after by a chap called Shane. I've been in regular contact with the chap who's been working on the car. He loves Carrera GTs. We've got the same Carrera GT jacket together. So do you know what? When you've got someone working on the car that you know loves those cars, it's great, right? I kind of get the impression this is not just a job for Shane. So he's all over it. He loves it. He's super invested in the car. He really appreciates what they are. And I feel like we are aligned on that. So it's in safe hands. I'm gonna shut up anyway and stop digitally snogging Shane. We're going to get in then and have a little look around and go and see the car on the ramp. I'm going to take you through all the issues they have identified. So I am actually going to go in. I'm going to head this way. So here we go then, coming in. Very cool place. It's actually one of the newest Porsche centres. This is the original Carrera GT. So this is actually a 924 Carrera GT. 80 grand, probably one of the nicest ones you can find. I love these because they're wide arch. Absolutely sick. Really cool that actually this was called a Carrera GT before the Carrera GT was called a Carrera GT. I don't quite know how that passed at Porsche, just naming two cars the same thing. But there we go. Very cool. And not a lot of people know about these. Turbocharged chaos. Very cool place. I'm not going to do a full walk around, but Spirit 70 is very nice. Very cool thing. Blue and tan GTS, I think that is. Very nice indeed. Serious pricing on these days. There's so much tech that goes into these modern cars. The pricing is just absolutely extraordinary. 178 grand. Sort of, I guess it's only Turbo S pricing really, isn't it? Or previous Turbo S pricing. New Turbo S is 200 and something. But some very nice bits. And if you come in here, you go upstairs, there's loads of spicy bits up there, but we're going to go through to the workshop and see my Carrera GT because it's over on the ramp. Okay then, here she is. Wheels are off and she's ready, and we're going to go through all the issues that have been identified with the car. Shane here has been working on the car and he's gone through with a fine-tooth comb and alerted me to anything that needs attention. So there's actually a longer list than I thought. There's some stuff that's fairly serious and there's some stuff that are just good to know, and there's some stuff that needs attention immediately. So you'll see the wheels are here, and up this side we've got bits. We're going to get into every single part on this car. I find this stuff fascinating, and actually walking in here looking at this car, I still can't believe it's mine. Well, it's partly the bank's, but mainly mine. So what Shane has done then, this is the major service check sheet. This is everything they go through in a major service, and then this is a personalized crib sheet, everything that is up with the car. So we're going to go through it line by line and just go through this and rough costs and how actually serious some of this stuff is. So first things first thing, we've got the fuse cover box. That is not a serious issue. That's actually in the front trunk here in this little bag. And fun fact, you'll see a collection of number plates. We've got the original 06 plate because it's an 06 car. We've got this plate, which actually it was wearing on the Cartier lawn, I think in 2007 or 2012, I can't remember the year. There's pictures of it on the Cartier lawn wearing this number plate. We've obviously got my plate. That's actually the legal spacing of it, which we'll get onto. And then we've also got a foreign plate as well. This Slovenian plate. So the car was owned by someone who had a place in Slovenia. So it actually was registered there for a bit. It's a UK car, but the previous owner actually used to drive it, I think through Switzerland, and actually had it registered in Slovenia. So there's pictures of this car, I believe, in Slovenia, and it had black wheels at the time. But I've kept all the number plates with the car just because I find that really, really interesting. I know that's probably one of the most boring things I could have told you, but there we go. Fuse box cover, who cares about that? And that has come out because I believe, which we'll get onto, we had a radar system fitted. So you can tell this is an older car because this was in the days where you would have like a blue eye or whatever it is, which will alert you to the old school plinky plonky speed cameras. That is now redundant, so that's going to come out, but that is why the fuse box cover is out. Not a major issue. We've got door flaps not opening and closing, so again, not a huge issue. And actually something, I'm not going to resolve this because I really don't care. You have to use your fingernails to open these flaps. You know the secret drug dealer flaps on these? I don't care about that, so we're not going to fix that yet. Who cares? It's going to be more money than it's worth doing. Nobody cares about that. We've got a small nick in the driver's side center console. Down there, don't know if you can see it, that is actually a very easy fix. That is a leather iron just to sort that out. So probably should have sorted that early doors, but I haven't. That is a very, very quick fix. Toolkit flap screw, the rubber is missing. So that actually pertains to this in the back here. So you will see on this side, we've got a little rubber grommet in there. I don't know if that's going to focus. Cheers, camera. 900 quid well spent. Okay, so you see that black bit as part of that? That's the rubber. And then on the other side here, you will see in that loop, little loop there, there's no rubber in there. So that's not even something that Porsche make. I don't think you can just order that rubber part. It'll probably need a whole new carbon panel, so we're going to ignore that. I think we don't really care about that, but just give you an idea of the level of detail the guys go to here and the stuff they're looking at. Really, really cool, and something that actually hasn't been picked up before. Tyre gel's out of date. I might do a bit of driving in this, so we're going to sort that out. Not an expensive fix. Windscreen is chipped. Now, one of the things I did get taught when I went to buy a Carrera GT, I remember having this conversation actually with Mr. JWW on I believe it's a Jaguar trip in Corsica years and years and years ago. He was telling me, oh, watch out for them, windscreens on these things are 30 grand. That's actually irrelevant because all insurance policies cover windscreens and it's a 50 quid excess, so who really cares? But this windscreen is slightly chipped, so you can see 1, 2, 3 there. So maybe if I have my act together prior to a next service, I might get it similar with my SLS, be organised enough to pre-book in a windscreen, because obviously that's not a part they just have lying around, and my insurance company I'm sure will absolutely love that. But what they can do, actually, they've got a professional repairer that they can actually do that here, so that is going to be looked at and not a major issue. It's not cracked, so it's not an MOT issue, and it really doesn't matter. We've got the rear bumper badge lifting, so I don't know if you can see that, but it's kind of coming up a little bit, and that's because it had PPF and obviously it's been stuck back on, and over time it's kind of lifting slightly. I mean, that is a 2-second job to fix. The next item is exhaust grille trim not aligning to the rear panel above the rear bumper. So that is about this. You can see on this side there is very minimal gap, and you can see on this side there is more of a gap. So at some point, obviously it's got an Edo competition exhaust on it, which I had on the car when I bought it. I've also got the original part at home, but someone's just not put that back fully aligned, so that's a very easy fix. And I think the spoiler will have to come off, and then there's a couple of clips, and then that can be realigned, but that will be done as well. Next issue is rear wheel arch liners have the incorrect bolts in. Literally, it's just a cut. I'm not even going to show you because it's so boring, but just a couple of bolts are slightly different. They should be a Torx and they're an Allen key, but we don't care about that there. It doesn't matter what material they are because this is plastic, so we don't need to worry about corrosion or anything like that. Tolerances aren't really of any interest. It's not structural, nobody cares. I'm gonna leave that alone. Next item is center locking caps and center bolts are discolored. So this is the same on pretty much every single Carrera GT. These discolor, so this red here and then obviously blue on the other side, they discolor. There's not really much you can do about it. It happens over time. I've seen a lot worse, and sometimes people have mulched these when they've been taking the wheel off and they're all scratched and screwed and blah blah. You mean you see brand new 911 GTSs with screwed center locks. So actually these are in pretty good condition. They have faded slightly over time, quite like the patina. If there's any bright ideas in terms of anyone that can kind of re-anodize these or re-anodize, I think is the word, do obviously get my comments. Next item is wheel paint is peeling around the center locks. So we've got a little bit of peely-beely in there. I believe these were done, actually they were done just before I bought the car because the wheels were black and I insisted that they had paint and sorted at Porsche. They're obviously magnesium wheels, so you can't just piss around and take them to Halfords. They have to be done properly with proper paint and blah blah. So Porsche have done these, and there's a little bit of kind of peeling around the centre lock, you know, where they get scratched and blah blah, but really don't care about that. Not going to be presenting an issue, and they're not corroding, so we're happy with that. We've got a tiny chip on the front disc here, so as you can see, we've got a tiny chip up there on the disc. Now that is not in striking distance of the pads, very luckily, otherwise that would probably cause an issue. That is not something that needs resolving. That is just it's been noticed, so it's been written down, but again, we don't really care about that. That is not a new disc needed, thankfully. Now this is where it gets a bit leery. We've got a coolant bottle leaking on the seam. So when I got told about this, Shane said, oh, there's some bad news. We've got a coolant leak, and I was like, oh, whatever, coolant bottle, who really cares about that? And I expected a little white milky thing like you usually see in like a 1.2 Clio. Incorrect. So the coolant system is actually up here, the bottle is here, and it's causing a leak, which we'll see when the car goes further up in the air. But you see that seam there? That over time obviously degrades, and I think potentially part of when the cars were sitting around for a long time, that has caused a leak. So you can see it's slightly damp there, and you can see some drips coming down. I'm not sure if the camera's focused. That's causing a leak. So he said you need a new coolant bottle, which fine. I said, all right mate, absolutely fine. How much is that? That is around 1,200 quid for that, and obviously lots of bits have to come out as well. You have to drain the coolant system, which we're going to tie into some other jobs as well. Now here's an issue that we spotted at the last major service. So I'm going to get grills put on the front rads. So down here then you will see the whole front of the car is actually open, and that is how it is stock. So you just get obviously air coming through, but you also get stones. That has caused the radiator to get smashed. The little ducts that get the coolant through it, you know, very fine mesh there, it's been smashed. So you'll see at the back corner there and the back corner there, it's looking damp. It's obviously very grubby. That's all going to be sorted, but we do need to replace the radiator. This was picked up in 2022 at the last major service, but it's time to bite the bullet, because I think I'm going to take this to south of France with Mr. Tomi Music down there, and I don't fancy, as temperatures increase and pressure increases, a big coolant leak, and having basically cars probably by that point worth 3 million quid, spewing coolant all over, and potentially an engine overheating and needing rebuilding. So we are going to sort that out at this service. What we're also going to do, I'm going to leave the rads here. They've had a bit of a kicking over their time, just a few normal sort of bits and bobs, a couple of stones have hit them, but we're going to get mesh put in to protect them going forward, and also protect all this beautiful carbon here as well. Actually not so bad. Any marks you can see, they're just sort of dead flies and things. Structurally it's absolutely fine, no chips at all, but we're going to protect them because they shouldn't actually fail. If they don't have stones whacking them and destroying the duct, they don't fail. So we are absolutely happy with that, and we're going to get the mesh put in. Lots of GT owners have done it, Reading offer it, and obviously the guys here offer it as well, and I don't think that's hugely expensive, but the radiator, couple of grand, probably a guess. We'll find out anyway. Next item on the list, remove stones from front radiator fan holdings. So you'll see down here, the stones kicking around in there. I live down a gravel road, or this car lives down a gravel road anyway, so it does pick up a fair bit of gravel. That's very normal. We've got bits there as well. Obviously not a major job, it's literally gravel removal. Now we're going to jack the car up and get onto these jobs here as well, and this was something that looked pretty serious, but it could have gone one of two ways. So where it's had an oil change before, if you see through this gap, world's slowest zoom, on the cam cover through there, let's try and get that focused right on there. Okay, can you see that slightly greasy on that cam cover? That's basically from a previous oil change. Now, seeing that off the bat, Shane doesn't know immediately where that's come from. That can either be just literally a case of how the oil has been topped up before at Reading, and there's a technique to it. You don't do it when the car's still running, you have to wait for the car to be off, and if you do it when the car's still running, it can suck it through and spit it back out all over everything. That's what's happened, but it could have been a lot more serious, so we're very relieved at the outcome of that, but that is not an issue, so that's just a wipe down job, thank God. So this carbon tray is obviously what you could immediately see from under the car. That's had to come off, but you can see on there all of this oil. That does not look good, and obviously off the bat, before that comes on and further investigation happens, I did get a WhatsApp from Shane saying, look, I found oil on there. It might not be good news, or it might just be a case of how the oil's been topped up, so thankfully that is literally just a wipe down job. Last couple of items then, we've got track rods, boot splits. So we've got this front of the car here, And actually, interestingly, the recall work affected these arms here. So this is all new. I believe this is potentially new as well. I'm not 100% sure. But this part here is not new. And what can happen is grease is rightfully put in through here. And this little rubber part here can split. So the problem with that is, if that rubber splits and you end up getting dirt in there, that rose joint can get completely screwed, and once the rose joint gets screwed, that whole thing needs to be replaced, and that starts getting expensive. But good news is, and why Porsche is so fantastic, you can actually just replace that rubber thing. I'm going to stop poking it. It's coming out anyway, but that rubber part is going to get replaced, and that is a really good thing to do. It's not something worth trying to just kick down the road. It's a very cheap repair and can potentially save you thousands and thousands, so that is going to get changed as well. And at the back in here then, this has been split as well. I mean, they degrade over time. It's rubber doesn't last forever, and this, I don't know if you can see that, it's got a little split in it. Again, luckily the whole thing doesn't need replacing. Some manufacturers will not replace this rubber. You'll have to replace the whole thing, and it starts to get quite fighty. Obviously with my 430, I'm having to replace a lot of this stuff. It's thousands per corner from Ferrari, and I've had to go aftermarket to get a better part that's a lot cheaper. But Porsche, they have these things in stock and very, very easily replaceable. It's literally just that rubber. Again, if you start messing around or thinking, oh, wait till next time, you can get dirt in there, get grit in there, whatever, the whole thing screws up, and then you need to start replacing whole parts. You'll also notice that I still have stock suspension in the car. I haven't gone for KWs. A lot of people are now putting KWs with lift kits and blah blah. In an ideal world, I would try it with KWs and I'd get the KW system and blah blah blah. It's £25,000 stock suspension. We're going to leave it as it is, and the stock suspension is made by a company called Sachs. And you can see the stock suspension because obviously it's red, and the KW often comes with yellow and purple springs, but sometimes people just put black springs on there, but you'll still be able to tell because you've got purple bits on the dampers. But apparently it transforms the car, but we'll have to find out from someone else on that. So under here then, that's your clutch, and that's where they actually measure the clutch. So in here, that's the clutch measurement thing, which we'll get onto. It's actually got loads of wear left on it, loads and loads. It actually hasn't moved since the last time it was measured. Can't think why that might be, but really important. You know, like when I was crying about it being winched onto the trailer, you can absolutely wreck your clutch in 30 seconds to a minute of just holding it on the clutch, on the bite point. You can get rid of that, and that is, contrary to popular belief, around 10 to 15 grand for a new clutch. So you hear a lot of horror stories saying it's 30 grand for a clutch. It isn't, but there we go. And obviously it makes it cheaper if you're doing other bits at the same time and blah blah. What I wanted to show you though, why I actually wasn't just coming here to show you this, this is the engine, this is the gearbox, and you can see obviously they're mated together there. But interestingly, or maybe it's not that interesting for you guys and girls, but I found it interesting, this over here is a drainage plug. So you've actually got a drainage plug for the engine which comes out of the gearbox housing. So it's actually a pipe that runs through into there. I've never seen that before. I don't know if you have or not, but apparently that is to keep the center of gravity low. So really, when they call this thing an engineering masterpiece, this is the sort of thing they're talking about. And obviously there's loads more examples of that sort of thing, but whilst I was here, I just thought I'd flag that. I thought that was really cool, but maybe I'm incredibly boring for finding that interesting. We're missing a bolt in there. As you can probably tell, that is not catastrophic, and it's probably a 60p fix. Other ancillaries, we've got brake pad measurements, we've got loads of life left in them. I think the wear limit might be 3 or 4, I might have made that up from front and back, so we've got loads in that. Handbrake measurement, I think the wear limit is 1mm, so we've got loads in that. And then obviously the tyres. I got new tyres at the recall, but I left the tyres on that I got at the last major service, which was actually pretty soon before the recall. So I have 2 sets of fairly fresh tyres, but as you can see, they're 21s and 22s, and they've got loads of wear left. And the way they're wearing as well is very normal because of the camber on these cars. So if anyone says there is uneven wear and is crying about it, that is actually very normal. And just like that, we're home. I had to run off, so that is the end of the video. There is a part 2 coming. They're going to take the car to bits. I'm going to go back and see whether or not they find any more nasties. So there is potentially an even more in-depth video coming with the car in bits. I know these don't get crazy views, but I find it really interesting, and I hope you find it interesting as well, and dispel some of the myths about owning some of these cars. As far as I know, there's no one in the world online documenting the ownership experience of a Carrera GT, including servicing and all the in-depth stuff I'm doing. So big shout out to Porsche Centre High Wycombe, and stay tuned for part 2. Ciao for now. Bye.